So in this video, we're going to take a very quick look at converting trickier fractions into percentages. In a previous video, we actually looked at converting fractions into percentages, but only in examples where we could find an equivalent fraction that was over 100. So let's take this 2/5 for example. We could easily convert this into a percentage because I can find an equivalent fraction to this that is over 100. And we can do this because 5 is a factor of 100, so that must mean that I can get from 5 to 100 by multiplying by some number. Well, we can do that by multiplying by 20. So then we do exactly the same to the top. We do 2 multiplied by 20, which would give us 40. And then whenever I've got a fraction over 100, I know that the numerator is therefore the percentage. But we don't always have examples that straightforward. Like for this next question, we want to write 1/8 as a percentage. Well, 8 isn't a factor of 100, so I can't multiply it by an integer to get to 100. So what can we do in these scenarios? Well, instead of converting it to an equivalent fraction and then writing it as a percentage, we can actually convert it to a decimal first and then convert it to a percentage as needed. So for the fraction 1/8, we've simply got 1 divided by 8. So let's do that, and we can use some short division. We're going to do 1 divided by 8. And we know we're going to end up with a decimal, so I'm going to put a decimal place here, and I'm just going to put some zeros. I don't know how many I need yet, but I'll just put a few for now. And then I'm going to put a decimal place above as well. So we know to begin with, how many times does 8 fit into 1? Well, we know that's going to be 0, so immediately I'm going to carry that 1 over to my next digit. I then want to see how many times does 8 fit into 10? Well, that'll fit once, because 8 multiplied by 1 is 8. That leaves me with the remainder of 2. So I carry that 2 over to the next digit. I then want to see how many times does 8 fit into 20? Well, that'll fit twice, because 8 multiplied by 2 gives me 16, leaving me with the remainder of 4. So I carry that over. I now want to see how many times does 8 fit into 40? Well, that fits 5 times exactly. So because it's fit exactly, we can stop there, because now we know we've converted it to a decimal. So if it's 0.125 as a decimal, all I need to do now to get from a decimal to a percentage is multiply by 100. So because I'm multiplying by 100, all the digits are going to move 2 places to the left. So if I multiply this by 100, that's going to give me 12.5, and then this is the percentage. So 1/8 as a percentage is 12.5%. So let's try this with a couple more examples. So for this next question, we want to write 5/9 as a percentage. We can't easily find an equivalent fraction over 100. So we're going to convert it to a decimal first and then to a percentage. So for 5/9, we're simply going to do 5 divided by 9. So we know we're going to have a decimal, so I'm going to put a decimal here and some zeros. And I'm going to put a decimal here. So we know that 9 doesn't fit into 5, so our 0 goes here, and we're going to carry that 5 over to the next digit. We then want to see how many times does 9 fit into 50. Well, that'll go 5 times, because 9 multiplied by 5 is 45, leaving me with the remainder of 5. But we can see a pattern here. We've got the same remainder. We've carried over 5, so now we need to see how many times does 9 fit into 50 again. Well, that's still going to be 5 times, because 9 multiplied by 5 is still 45, and again that's going to leave us with the remainder of 5. So we actually have a recurring decimal here. So that means that our decimal for this fraction is going to be 0.55, and it's going to carry on. So now we've got it as a decimal. Now all we need to do is convert it to a percentage, and to do that we're simply going to multiply by 100. So because we're multiplying by 100, we're going to move all the digits 2 places to the left. So this is going to turn into 55, and then because the 5's repeating, that's going to carry on 55%. So we've got a recurring decimal and a recurring percentage. So because that 5 after the decimal point is recurring, I can simply write this as 55 point. I can write then a single 5 with a dot above. That means that that 5 after the decimal place is going to recur. And that is our final percentage. So 5/9 as a percentage is 55.5 recurring percent. Okay, and for this final example, we want to write 3/11ths as a percentage. So because 11 isn't a factor of 100, we're not going to try and find an equivalent fraction. We want to find it as a decimal first. So I'm simply going to do 3 divided by 11. So again, we know we're converting it to a decimal, so I'm going to put my decimal point, and I'm just going to carry over some zeros to begin with, and then I'm going to put a decimal point above. So we know 11 won't fit into 3, so we're going to put a 0 there, and then we're going to carry that 3 over to the next digit. We then want to see how many times does 11 fit into 30? Well, that'll fit twice, because 11 times 2 is 22, leaving us with the remainder of 8. So we carry that 8 over to the next digit. We then want to see how many times does 11 fit into 80? Well, that'll fit 7 times, because 11 times 7 is 77. That's going to leave us with the remainder of 3. So again, we can see a pattern here. We're going to have a recurring decimal because we've carried over a 3 again. Because next we want to see how many times does 11 fit into 30? Well, again, that's going to fit twice, because 11 times 2 is still 22, leaving us with the remainder of 8. So I'm going to extend my line, bring down a new 0, carry over that 8, and then again, 11 into 80 will fit 7 times. Because 11 times 7 again gives me 77, which is going to leave me with another remainder of 3. So as a decimal, our answer is going to be 0 point, and then these two digits 2 and 7 are going to keep recurring. So that's what we've got as a decimal. So now we want to turn that into a percentage. So I'm simply going to multiply by 100. So that means all the digits are going to move 2 places to the left. So I'm going to have 27.27, and then we said these digits of 27 are going to keep on repeating, and that's what we've got as a percentage. So we can tidy this up a little bit. We can write this as 27 point. I then want to put a dot above the first and last digit that are repeating. So because the 2 and the 7 are repeating, that means I can put a dot above the 2, and then finally a dot above the 7. And again, this is our percentage. So that would be our final answer for the percentage that's equivalent to 3/11ths. So well done if you followed along with those trickier questions. And that's it for this video. If you want to check out any other videos on fractions, percentages, and decimals, then I've left some links for them down in the description, and I've also put a card in the top corner, so feel free to check them out. I hope you found this video useful. If you did, please feel free to leave a like and consider subscribing. If there are any topics you'd like me to go through next, then please just let me know down in the comments, and I'll try to make some videos on those topics as soon as possible. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.